This tutorial is going to give you a brief overview of the tracking system, the financial invoice side of the system, as you're doing jobs from eBoard calendar and it is finished. You've got a few options in here for your operation staff who are managing the job to go into the job status and signal to your invoice accounts receivable team if it's closed off or finished or not. By them doing that function, because they will know when the job's finished, and doing the action I just showed you then gives a bit of a signal in here. For example, somebody's done that on this job here for North Power on 20 Durra Road, and it's signaled to the invoicing team, hey, Ops has said this is ready to be invoiced because it's finished. And just an overview of the top tabs in the jobs. Remember, we're in jobs here, and we have dry hires, dates confirmed, TMP only, when you're doing TMPs for companies where you do no traffic management services or deploying them, so you're just getting paid to do a TMP only. Where your dates confirms is literally all your jobs on the calendar. And that's letting you see it there. Hence why when your operations team who are managing your resources and job planning, all that sort of stuff, indicate through that job status, giving you a heads up what to do with it here. And also, if you just want to narrow down on the actual ones they've indicated, is just go to ready to invoice, and that will then show you just the ready to be invoiced. So most accounts receivable team is going to probably go to jobs, pop into ready to be invoiced. Oh wow, look, the TT managers, ops teams indicated all these ones can be closed off, and we can start working on these invoices. You can then use the filter actions here to slim things back. If we want to look for a company name, we can resort them, reverse order, look for a job number, whatever. If you've got 100 in here and you just want to search for something, go for it. It's pretty obvious how to use those filters there. If the job's really far in advance, like, for example, 2 or 3 months ago, and you're like, oh, I don't want to look at those jobs yet, we haven't even started them, you can leave this unticked. If you tick it, it'll then show you all those jobs in future. When you reload this up, it's always going to remember what you last had it ticked on, so set it to your preference. I'm not going to get too much into the dry hires. There's a separate tutorial video on that. Just go to dry hires, click on the wee YouTube icon, and it will drill into dry hires and making tasks for those dry hires. Dry hires is when someone comes into your depot and hires some signs, and that's all you do for them is give them some gear to go hire, and they drop it back at some point and you invoice them. TMP only jobs. Look, some traffic management companies might be doing a traffic management plan where someone's employed them just to do the plan. They have not got you to do any of the traffic management services, i.e. you're not setting up their site, deploying any traffic management, therefore your service to them is making TMP only. And that's one way just to filter. You can see how this is filtering by job types. Dry hires if you do them, TMPs only if you do them, and then you've got all your jobs that are on the calendar, the dates confirmed. If you do have a job or a client call up and go, hey, that job, I want the invoice sent today, but it's still going, and you go, oh, okay, all right, I could do that. So you go find the job. Let's say it's the North Power one at the top. I can go into here. I've got the job. What I can do here is I can create a progress invoice because obviously the job hasn't finished yet, but they want to send an invoice out for the work we've done. And if the job had finished, you can create the final invoice. That's if it was done, and if your operations team had signaled to you that it's finished, but you had confirmed that it definitely is finished. If it won't let you do it, like this one in grey, it's because of two things. There's a task door open, someone's recording time to a job that you're trying to close, so the system's smart, not letting you. Second thing is there's still gear on the job. How can you close off the job and start invoicing it if there's still gear on site? So you might want to look into those things if you see that. Everything else, just follow your nose and have a look around at the buttons. You can get in there and you can edit the job. Another reason you might come in here is because the job started and then you've got somebody calling up going, hey, they've given us a PO number for that job. You go into here, you go into the tracking system, and you can load the PO number that they've given you there. Do the job. Yeah, so just recapping, you might be coming in here to throw a PO number on the job. You might be coming here because you're doing a progress invoice. You might be coming here because the job's finished. Generally, that's going to be signaled to you as I've already shown you. Don't be too concerned as the months roll over because our system's really smart. The end of the month on the 30th or 31st, or it was February, but different there, as we know, it'll automatically create an invoice and it will go to the invoice tab. We'll tap into that later on. Another reason you might come in here is that they go, oh, that job, they brought something off us. So you could write anything in here. They might have got an extra TMP diagram done. That's one of the common ones. You can put quantity. If you don't know the price, you can just put 0, click save. Now the invoice team will see that they've had something extra after the job started, and yeah, that's the main thing. You can create tasks in here, but traditionally that would be done from the e-board by your staff going into the dot menu and clicking record time and that sort of thing. Also from the dot menu in here, the TMP team or your planners or your operations team, if you do additional work like TMPs, go to the dot menu, click it, and you'll see a button that looks the same in tracking, which is called add one-off charge. You can get to it from here, or the dashboard where the planners mostly live in, you can go to dot, and they click this wee menu here, and there'll be a shortcut called one-off charge, and that just on the fly saves them having to log into tracking, find the job, and then add it. So on the fly they can go, oh, did extra diagram, they'll be sitting in dashboard, they'll go dot menu, they'll click that button, and it will pop up a screen inside their view to add that without all the fluster and pain and jumping into all those other things. So very, very smart system built to save all those little micro steps. Okay, let's get back to what we were talking about. Yeah, so another thing you might do is go to completed. This means that the job's been essentially invoiced. And the primary reason we've got it in the jobs here is, for example, a job went for a couple of days, then you build it out. You'll always be able to see on the calendar if something's been billed, because these we confirmed down the left-hand side instead of the no yes confirmed this job's going ahead for the ops team to know with the actual job. As once it's been invoiced out, there's a wee tick that comes in that you know it's been invoiced. So let's say the job then reoccurs 2 months later, and you go in and extend or edit the dates and add it to the board a month later. Now you need to reopen the job, so what you can do is go to the completed jobs, find the job, click open, click to reopen the job. And that's as simple as that. For more technical stuff, talk to your onboarding specialist or reach out for technical support. On any web browser, you can change the percentage view in the web browser. Sometimes you can just hit control, scroll in and out on your mouse, or hit control little plus minus icon, and that just, changes the web browser size the way you'd normally do it. Now, if you can't see something or you want to see something better, zoom in, but it can then make a few things hidden, so you can adjust the screen size to your preference. So if you go into there and you go, oh, I can't see much, zoom in and it gets even easier to use on any of the views within this system. This tutorial on the Invoice tab within the tracking system. We're in the Invoice tab. The first thing I might just tap a little bit back into the jobs, is generally how they got here is from ready to be invoiced, and they've been signaled that they are ready to be invoiced, and from here you would go into create the invoice, which then essentially moves it to the Invoice tab. Well, that was a quick glimpse of just showing, going back a little bit, how it got to here. Now this is who your accounts receivable invoicing staff working on your invoices. You can filter and use the wee filter options, search for stuff in there, can filter things off if you know the job number. Yeah, so just go through here and you can quickly sort and filter or reverse the order on things, and it's pretty self-explanatory. Now starting from left to right, these are the ones that need to be processed. Now they would have got here because you went into the jobs and manually cut a job off ready to be invoiced. But the most common way for them to land in here is that the system's very smart. At the end of each month, on the 30th or 31st, the system goes, oh, I'm going to create an invoice for that month, and it will land in here. It'll still be going on for the next month, but the month that's just finished, you're going to come in here on the 1st and see a whole lot of invoices ready to be worked on. It's pretty smart like that. And everything in here, just don't be afraid to click on the icons, hover over stuff. There's lots of good handy resources in here. But one of the first things you might be doing if you're more than a one-man band and you've got a couple on your team doing invoicing would be go into tools and assign who you want the person to do the invoice. So you can assign a name to who's doing the invoice, and you can assign that to them, or you can click on the assign shortcut buttons over on the left, and pretty much this is a view of everything that's about the job and happened on the job, including all the time and material or equipment that any staff's logged to the job prior to it being sent here to be ready to be invoiced. So it's pretty much an overview. We call this Beastmode view down the bottom because it's got all the information about the job. We recap on the workflows. If it's in a draft, if for some reason it's a chunky job and I've done a bit of work but I want to save it, you can save it and come back to it later. And then you can go back in and carry on, etc. If once you've finished working on the invoice, you have an integration with Xero, you can preview what it's going to look like before you go into Xero, and you can change the way you want to display the information by using these drop downs, and it will just manipulate its view. Have a play. It'll seem pretty obvious for anyone in accounts receivable to go in here and change these, and as you change them it shows you the different display. Yeah, a good way to think of that is if you want it to show on your invoice that you've had this sign on this date and it's on a line, and you've had this bit of resource on another line, you want 20 items to show that resource for every day. That can get a bit confusing, or some people like that, but if you want to condense things, just give the subtotals this much for so many days on one line, this is where you start to mess with things in here. Let's go back to beast mode. We can see any pictures attached to the job, so we don't need to go back to the calendar view. We don't need to go back here to view all the job information. We've got we've got little hydro slides, little pipelines feeding back to that, so you can just go in and go, oh, what TMP did they use? And you can have a look at the TMP, click on the thing, and it'll open the PDF of the job. Everything's there, field for the job, where it was, any pictures, TMPs, that sort of stuff. Down here, those one-off charges have been landing in here that people have been recorded. If you don't like them, we're going to change the rate. Click the edit button. If you don't like them at all, click the delete button. You'll be able to see who worked on the job, any trucks allocated job, the staff, and all that sort of stuff. All the notes, really. It's an overview of everything that happened to the job. We can see that there was some time recorded to this job, 9 hours on the Wednesday, and the rates that you've loaded into your settings, all your settings and your rates and your equipment are all in there. Go in there, there's some videos on that. This is all based on assuming you've already set up the system, so nitty gritties, I'll let you go to settings and watch that tutorial, or reach out for technical support on that. So yeah, you can go in here and change things. If you want to change something, you can literally go in there and go, actually, I don't believe that was 8, or I think that's too much to charge them. You can change the hours. You can go, oh, the person who recorded the task used the wrong truck rate, and you can go and click save, and you can override things. So yeah, just don't be shy to click on anything really. It's already gathered all the information as staff record the time. So you're not adding up, oh, they started at 5 a.m. and finished at 5 p.m. and trying to work, working out that's 12 hours. This system's done all of that for you. It's anything they've put on the job, it's all automated, but we call it beast modes because you can skin it however you want. And that includes manipulating how you want it to look before it goes to Xero. That includes here overriding, change things, and all that sort of stuff. And it's pretty much the same for the equipment as well. If you're going in here and wondering what was original, well, blue means someone's actually changed it. So they've already gone and manipulated the values. That's a quick way to see that. You can go over and hover and that'll show what it was before you change it. So you're like, what was that before I changed it? There it's showing 11 and those sorts of things. So pretty intuitive. Hover over, click, change, do what you want with it. Any notes from the field staff will either come into here, so you can't really miss them. So just think about wherever they put the notes, you're going to be able to see them. And a good thing to do is just untoggle that. And if you want to see any written notes where the field staff are trying to communicate to you, you would then just go, instead of reading every time they've updated a time or something, just click the important notes and filters it right back to things that you might want to know. Then we can go and put save as complete if this is now no longer a draft. And if we're using Xero, you would go into preview invoice, double check how you want it in Xero, and then click export to Xero. If you want it just exported as a spreadsheet to then use it in any other sort of accounting system, you can do that as well. Or you could print it as a PDF and use this as your invoice. Entirely up to you. Yeah, the last step is going to the save as complete. What it's asking for there is that you put in a reference number to whatever an accounting system that we're not integrated with. You would put the same reference number that invoice was generated in your actual invoice system into here, so you can correlate the two. If you're using Xero, it pre-populates. It ties them up straight away. Done. What I've done, just to drill into this beast mode a bit more, is just grabbed a job with a bit more data in it. What I'd like to recap, job information is about what we said we would do. So we said we'd do all these sorts of closures and use these trucks, and these people are assigned to the job and how many people are on it, like 3 people. Because that's always good to reflect back to what then happened, because what we can see here is we've got Jack record time down to on the 26th, 7 hours. And it's just one person's time, and a good way to be looking might be like, well, if there's 3 staff, where's the other people's time? Because essentially that's a way of going, well, if they said there was 3 there, has someone forgot to record their time? So you're always correlating back to if there's 2 trucks there and I see 1 truck record the time. It's a good way to reflect back what you said you'll do, because if it's not there, there's 2 things: you either didn't do it or you need to go chase it, people didn't record their time. Same thing in here, you can go and change numbers, all that sort of stuff. There's some shortcuts to round up numbers, so you can go, I don't want to fluff around for these numbers, so you can go round up numbers to the next 0.5 up or down, and then that just cleans up the whole thing. So can't get into every tool here today, it's a general overview, but they're really worth looking at because they can save a lot of time instead of manually changing every single day. What I really wanted to narrow in is on when you get a lot of equipment recorded, and you can see each day different signs and cones and all that sort of stuff record. If you're just using hourly rates and you don't care about this information, then you'd scroll down to the bottom and go, I don't care, and whack 100% on it, and then it's not going to be applied. And then when it's through an invoice, it'll show, hey, we gave this, but there's no charge. And if you don't like it on your invoice when it's sucked through, you can just delete that line. Up to you. You can delete stuff here. If, for example, you wanted to change quantities, you can go and change those. If you want to change the entire line, click that, and you see it at 14, and then it's changed every single sign to 2 days. So you really can do everything. That's what we call it beast mode. I'm going to revert, and it'll bring back what you had before that. So we know that everybody wants to invoice it differently, include equipment, no equipment, but you still want to know what equipment was used to the job, so you know if it's gone missing and how much they're using generally, and you don't want the staff not recording it, because then you lose a lot of it in this industry. But when you get invoicing, you can scrap it, you can override things, do whatever you want. Again, it's literally why we call it beast mode. Thank you very much for watching.